start with the introduction of what is Microsoft Fabric and how is it an better extension to Microsoft Fabric, which is a combination of Microsoft Power BI as well as data engineering, machine learning, and data science ecosystems into a one fabric. So now as we can see, we have Power BI, Azure Synapse, Data Factory. Every one of the tools are related to data into a singular unit. So as we can see, it is all hosted on a lake-centric SaaS solution, which has Synapse, which has business intelligence, which has data engineering and data science. And all of this has one data source, which is OneDrive for data, which is one lake. And we have the assistance of AI, which is a tool called Copilot in Power BI, so which assists us with suggestions, and we have Git integration. So we have co-authoring, we have uh, version controlling, and hence it provides end-to-end governance and how we can enable Fabric in our Power BI. So first you have to search for Power BI in the Google URL space. And once we search it, so we have the Power BI. So this is the home page. So we'll go to our account manager where we see our name, and there we can see the license type. So it can be free, pro, depending on the user. So we have to here you will be seeing Fabric enable trial. So you have to click on it. So it provides around 60 days of free trial for every user. So we can try that. And then we have Fabric trial written on our home, and then we can see Power BI written the top, bottom left. So when we click on it, we can see various workspaces such as data engineering, data science, data warehouse, real-time analytics. So we have to choose data engineering, and now we have this one. If we click on data engineering, we can see Synapse data engineering. So here we have various workspaces. We have Lakehouse notebook. So in workspaces, we have these workspaces which we have already created. So we'll start with creating a new workspace. So this is an end-to-end project where we will build the data warehouse. So we'll name it PayPal Bootcamp. So now what's up PayPal? So PayPal is payment gateway, so which assists in making payments, and we have PayPal for personal as well as merchant use. So I'll open the PayPal documentation. So here is the PayPal documentation. You have to Google search PayPal documentation, and you will be presented with this. So click on the PayPal developer and then click on APIs, then click on REST APIs. So once you do that, you'll be presented with how to create REST APIs. So here is how to first, if we need to get any data from PayPal, so we have to first generate access token. And in order to do that, we have to authenticate ourselves. And PayPal REST APIs use OAuth 2. And by that, what we mean is like when we make a post call with this client credentials and client secret. So we'll be receiving an access token, which we have to use to generate a GET request, which look like this to the invoice API. Then we can download all the invoices. So first, what we have to do is we have to log in. So we can create our new account. So once we have a new account, how the interface looks is just like this PayPal developer dashboard. Here you have to click on apps and credentials, and by default you will have a default application. So you can also create a new application by clicking on create app. And once you do that, here is my test tab. So for my test app, the credentials are as mentioned. The app name is test, the client ID is this, the client secrets are this. You have to copy both of it, and I hope you are familiar with the Postman. So in Postman there is access to, we have to create a new collection by the name of PayPal API. Then you have to create a new by clicking on this new, we have to click on import, and then what we need to do is you have to get this authentication curl and just copy it and then paste it here. So once you do that, by default everything will be placed in the default placeholders like headers, body. So in authorization there is client ID, client secret. So replace both of them with the client ID here, this one and this one. So once you do that and make a post call. So once you do that, you will receive the new access token. So this is the new access token, just copy it, and then now you have to make a invoice get call. So go to invoicing, click on list invoices. So this is the post call for invoice. Just copy it and paste it. So it looks like something like this. So now we have to make few changes. So here as we can see, the invoice URL is API M PayPal. So you have to replace the base URL. You have to replace it with, go to just API request and replace it with this one as you are using sandbox. So just replace that, and now the URL, complete URL look like this. So now we are accessing the page 1. The page size is 4. That means each of the page will have only 4 invoices, and total count shows the number of total count of invoices in our entire endpoint. So now go to testing tools, click on sandbox accounts. So now we will have various personal and business accounts. We have created this by clicking on create account. So now just click on this business one, the last one, as you are using PayPal for business. Then you have to copy this sandbox URL and paste it in a new tab and click enter. So you have this PayPal sandbox, click on login. Now for username, you have to click this email and paste it. This is our sandbox email. Copy the password, paste it. Click on invoicing and just create a few invoices around 15 to 25. Then all the invoices which we have created will look like this. So just the process is to click on create invoice, write the email ID as, provide any item name, keep the price and keep the tags, and just click on send. So once you do that, it will ask for confirmation. So it's, and you can see the new invoice which is there. And now if you make a get call, The access token which is generated here, you have to copy this part and just paste it in here. In authorization, go to bearer token and just paste it here. And in case of access token, in authorization, it's basic auth, where you have to provide username as client ID, password as client secret. So when you make a get call in invoices, you will receive all of the invoice items. So this was the latest of the invoice, which is 19th, which was sent to Shantanu. So as we can see, we have 19 of such invoices in our sandbox. So this is the entire process to use Postman. So I hope until here everything is clear to everyone. So if anyone has any doubts, just ask right now. And if there are no doubts as such, just let me know. I will proceed with the further part of the session. Okay, so I'll open the fabric. So this is the fabric. And now we have to click on create new. So what we will create is a data pipeline. So we will name the data pipeline as PayPal Bootcamp data pipeline. So what is this? Is this is the ADF. Once people who have used ADF for data factory. So in Fabric, the data factory tray and all of the tools are included here itself. People might have heard of Synapse. So to start it, the first activity which will add is lookup. So what lookup does is what lookup does is it searches for a parameter file in a table or a file. So we'll name the lookup as get parameters lookup. So we need to create a parameter file. So this will have all the necessary informations. So make sure it look like this. So first we will have get URL, which has the invoice URL. Then we should add a table name. We should have a blob name. Blob name is the name of the folder which it will create for storing all the JSON blobs. So everything we see here, the response, this is result. This response result is in JSON format. So we'll store the data in JSON format first. Client ID will store here, client secret will store here. So all of this is enough. So what now we will do is we'll open this. We'll just open a duplicate tab. In this tab, we'll click on our workspace, which is PayPal Data Warehouse Bootcamp. We'll create a new lakehouse. So people might have heard of blob storage and uh, OneDrive. So this is a lakehouse which can have all the blobs, which is all the data which is in unstructured format or structured format, as well as it can have tables as well. So we'll name it as PayPal Lakehouse. So we'll click on create. So now we can see tables and files. So in files, We'll create a new folder. We'll name it as Excel parameters. So inside this, we'll put our parameter table. So we'll upload it. So why we are doing it is before creating any dashboards in Power BI or downloading data from SQL table. So what happens in backend is this that we get data from the API and we store it in some blobs, and then we share that data from blobs to the SQL tables, and then this data warehouse has been used to create Power BI reports. So this is the entire flow. So now here what we'll do is go to settings. We'll click on our workspace, click on our lakehouse. We should refresh it as we have created a new lakehouse. We can also create it from here. So now we will select paper lakehouse. So we are working with the files. So you have to browse our file path. So it's been shown here, Excel parameters. Just click on OK. File is this one. Just click on it. So now it is in Excel format. We'll select Excel. Go to settings. Click first row as header, as our first row will have all the headers. Then as it is done, we can preview what is it returning. So we can see we have to select the sheet name as well. So now if we'll click on preview data, so we can see the data which we have just uploaded. So I insist everyone to try all of this in their own systems as well, to get familiar with the process. And now we have to use activities. Click on set variable. So we will create two variables. So the first one will store client data, client ID. The second one will store client secret. Now we have to create a new variable. We have to select the client ID. So from this, we have to we can see here one thing. If we make a get call, so it's there in access token. So here also output dot access token, and for client secret, okay, we needed to select client ID. So from lookup, we'll select output dot client ID, and for client secret, we'll select. We have to create a new variable called client secret. Name this as client ID in smaller case, and in client secret, add So both of this will have the client ID, client secret. So we can save the progress up till now and we can run to see that it is. So here we can see the output which is showing the pipeline progress. Then input we can see what it takes as an input and what it shows in output. So we can see why it failed. So from first row, we needed to select client end. So we will reconfigure it again. We'll select first row and in that we'll select client ID and here we'll select client secret. So now if we'll run, so here we can see both are been succeeded and in output we have our client secret and client IDs in values. So now we'll create another activity called web activity. So this will connect to the client ID and connects client secret. So the purpose of this activity is to get access token. So we'll create a new connection. So the URL will be like this, the base URL of access token. So just paste it over here and then click on OK. So the other part, which is this one, and paste it as relative URL. So select post your post and in body, here you need to provide grant type. So as you can see, we have provided grant type in postman. So replicate that here as well. So in headers we see the content type is like this. So just replicate that. And above you can see authorization. So replicate that as well. I create a new header. So now try to run it by saving it first. So we'll run it. So in between, if anyone has any doubts or any understanding issues, so that you can ping right now so that I can assist in the doubts. So we can see we are receiving some error. So this can be due to the client credentials. So if we check, uh, okay. So I'll put it inside one activity called concat. So now we can see here how the input look like during the post call. So it should exactly look how it's in Postman. So again we are receiving failed. So you can see unsupported grant type. Grant type is null. So I'll just take it from here. So you can see we had put a hyphen instead of underscore. So I'll just put underscore and retry. So it should exactly match the documentation which is presented by people. So now if we'll try to rerun it, it will work. Okay, in grand type also it's underscore. So that was the reason for this failed run. So now what we'll do, we'll, we'll create one more activity. The purpose of this activity is to get the parameters from this API call. So what are the parameters? So the parameters are, if we'll just see the document of API request, we can see there is page size, total count. So all of this provides us with how many pages are there in our response. What's the page size? Page size 4 means each response will have only 4 invoices. Then total count required, it will show number of total invoices. So to get these parameters, we will include parameters call. So in for that, you have to create new connection, and in that we can provide this URL. So first we'll provide the base URL, then we'll provide the relative URL. So in method it is get, then headers. The headers are this one. So just copy this, create new header, provide this as value of the header. And now we have to make this part dynamic so that every time new access token is replaced here. So put the concat activity, it concatenates more than one values. Send concat, put bearer space. Then now we have to provide get access token output. So it was first row. Then click on OK. Then in content type, it's application JSON. So create a new header. Then is there anything else in body? No. So we'll run it till here. Just save it and run it. Okay, so in parameter call, if we check it once, we did not needed parameter call. We needed access token from the get access token. So you have to click on this one, and from there we have to select output dot access token. So if we go to output of access token, it's inside this here. So we need this, just save it. So from activity get access token will take the output. So now what we need is we need to create activity which gets this data and then creates files in the files inside the lakehouse. So now I'll implement one concept called pagination. So before that, we'll directly do without pagination. So what is pagination? That all also I'll explain. So I'll name this activity as copy data, get data from API to lakehouse. So in source, we'll select external, and here we'll select this activity. And in relative, we'll paste this one. And remove the page as of now. Page size we can put 10 as of now. Then in relative additional header we can put everything what we provided here in get parameters call. Then destination we can select workspace lakehouse. It can create a new lakehouse files, and direct we have to create here create new subfolder. And in parameters the name which we provided to our folder for storing blobs, we'll select that. So this was the blob name. We'll select this and paste here. Click create. Then create. That's it. So here we'll store all our files. So select file path. Just refresh it once more. So save it till here and just refresh the entire tabs. Click on browse now. Now you can select the newly created and in file name you can provide 0.json. So this will have our data. In file format, we can select JSON and then just save it. Now try to run it. It will be, uh, you can see all the response getting stored in this end folder. So just wait until everything. So now we had 19 invoices, but in page size, we had provided the page size to be equal to 10, as you can see here. So only 10 invoices will be able to see. So we can keep it 50 to get all the invoices. So now you can see it working. All the activities up till here are succeeded. So now the copy data is working. So purpose is to get data from API to the lakehouse. So you can see it worked. If we'll click on this part, input, you can see everything it got from the input, and in output we can see the data read, the files written. One file is was there. So now if we'll go here and refresh it, in the lakehouse you can see the newly created file. So this is 0.json. So it was of 11 KB. So it has all the data which we had in our PayPal endpoint of invoice. So it has all the invoices. So if we will select this and open JSON viewer. So if we will select this one, online JSON viewer, and we'll paste it over here. Just wait for a bit. Okay, so in text, just paste it and click on viewer. So now we can see our JSON format. So it has 9, as we had from 0 to 9, we had page size of 10. So we have indexing from 0, so only 10 records are there. So if you will go here and click here and make it as 50. So it will take all the data. So now we have data in the lakehouse as files. Now we have to insert it into a table. So click here to create a new activity and name this activity as get data from lakehouse to invoice staging table. So the staging table is a table where data first appears in the database and then it goes to the main table. So the source is lakehouse. Select files, select the directory. Provide it star.json so that it will take every JSON like 0, 1, 2, 3, any number of JSON. Keep it as JSON. Then in destination, provide lakehouse. We need to create a new table for the same. So in tables, click on new. Name it as staging invoices table. So click on create. Now go to mapping. You have to import the schemas so that columns are mapped to the correct destinations. So white field, you can see, okay, star.json doesn't exist now. So you can provide it as 1.json, 0.json. Now if we'll click on mapping, now you can see all the columns here. So we have to provide the names. So remove everything before. So you can provide custom names for our columns. So delete all the links one as we don't require them in our main table. Now we can save it. So in the end, we have to add one activity which is called delete data so that it deletes all the JSON so that every time new data is loaded. So click paper lakehouse, provide the direct, click on OK. Now you can save the entire thing. In logging, uncheck this, click on save. Now go to here and delete this JSON. Press off now. Now if you will run the activity, the entire pipeline look like this. So first it gets parameter from lookup, it creates client ID, client secret, it gets access token, then it gets parameter, then it gets data from API to data lake, then in lakehouse, it gets data from lakehouse to table and then JSON it. So I had already created one pipeline for the same. So it looked like this. It had also included the concept of pagination, which we are currently not using. So it has the copy data here. This one has copy data here from lakehouse to table. So if I will run this one, I'll run this pipeline run. If I'll run this pipeline, you can say it's working. So all of the data warehouses which we see has this as a backend, and it stores data into the table, and then Power BI queries data from these tables. So this is the simplest I can show you. So there were multiple pages. So around 10 pages were there. So it all this copy data from API to Lakehouse 10 times. So it has been run successfully. So now it will proceed towards the next for each loop, which will run 10 times. In the meantime, we can see the table has been created. We'll open it in notebook to see our data. So this is a Spark notebook which uses PySpark, Spark, Spark SQL, every language. So we will select this one and we'll run it. So that says just like Jupyter Notebook, if you're familiar. So it runs on Apache Spark. So the result of this is all our invoices. So we have our entire table of invoice. So this was the end result. Now this can be exported to Power BI to create visuals and dashboards. So this was what we built in Fabric, the entire data pipeline. Some projects so you can all try your